In a world where money needs to be guaranteed, dependability is a hell of a virtue. So you can see why filmmakers, or studios more accurately, might force their actors into stereotyped roles. But what do you do when someone breaks the mold and manages to play characters at both ends of the spectrum? What do you do when they're great in roles as fundamentally contradictory as heroes and villains? Well, then you've got a nice old problem on your hands. So with that in mind, I am Gareth, this is What Culture, and here are 10 actors who perfectly played both heroes and villains. Number 10, Gary Oldman, Batman Begins, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Gary Oldman has a particular flair for playing villains as well as real-life historical figures. So it's a wonder he hasn't played some sort of bloodthirsty tyrant from the past. He's excelled playing fictional villains though, like Mason Verger in Hannibal, Zorg in The Fifth Element, Stansfield in Leon, and Ivan Kirshenov in Air Force One. Even more notably, he also played the most terrifying, charming version of Dracula in movie history, adding the right blend of monstrosity and seductiveness to his performance. He's devilish and compelling in equal measure, and a world apart from his Jim Gordon for Nolan's Batman trilogy. In the corrupt cesspool of Gotham, his Gordon is an island sanctity of moral integrity, and while he knows difficult measures must be taken to win, he's the most fundamentally good character in the whole franchise. Now I want to know really quickly, what's your favourite Gary Oldman role of all time? Is it one of the ones I've mentioned or something else? You let me know in the comment section down below. Number 9, Robin Williams, Hook, and 1 Hour Photo. Robin Williams was best known for his charming heroes, who tended to come with quirks. His Mrs. Doubtfire had the whole assumed identity thing going on, his Sean in Good Will Hunting is broken by the ghosts of his past, and his genie in Aladdin is very in your face. I can relate. He also played one of culture's most enduring heroes in Peter Pan, for Steven Spielberg's maddeningly maligned Hook, taking the beloved fairy tale's childish belligerence and turning it into a corporate adult ignorance. At his heart though, he's still a hero of upstanding integrity, and it's thanks to Williams' performance that we believe and yearn for his redemption. At the other end of the scale, Williams also took the quirks of his other performances and stripped away the exuberance to play Seymour Parrish, the seemingly harmless photo developer, whose unassuming demeanor ends up being his most terrifying weapon. It's a completely unexpected performance by Williams, but it's absolutely one of his best. Number 8, Liam Neeson, Taken, and Batman Begins. It's pretty easy to sneer at Taken as an identikit man under pressure action movie, and also as the point where Liam Neeson quote-unquote sold out. But neither would be true. The reality is that Taken set the model for other films to copy, and it's good precisely because Neeson didn't disrespect the material. He might have seen it as an opportunity to learn another language, chiefly by his own admission, but his performance as Brian Mills is subtle and compelling. He's a man pushed to the edge by extreme, unthinkable context. And though his past suggests he's dealt in government-sponsored murk before, he's a true hero in the same way James Bond is. Only he has more personal investment for us to get behind. That's why the defining image of Neeson's career will probably be that one phone call. In contrast, his Ra's al Ghul is all about deception and performance, which Neeson's complex performance sells brilliantly. He appears as a mentor, but then as his identity is stripped back, he emerges as an old-school, almost Bondian villain intent on destroying Gotham. He was also the perfect foil for Christian Bale's fledgling Batman, which is a hell of an endorsement given what he became. Number 7, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, and Interview with the Vampire. Tom Cruise is your favorite action hero's favorite action hero, or that's likely the tagline he'd probably like to brand himself with. Over the years, he's brought his effortless charisma and incredible willingness to do his own dangerous stunts to lots of different action properties, and they've mostly all won because of him. He was great in Minority Report, Top Gun, Days of Thunder, and Edge of Tomorrow, but his defining heroic character comes in the Mission Impossible franchise, which still seems to be showing no signs of dipping in quality. His Ethan Hunt is a complex, occasionally fragile character, marked by darkness and intense to the extreme, but he's fundamentally good, and works in the interest of saving the whole world, often to his own detriment, because that's just what heroes do. On the other hand, his Lestat in Interview with with the vampire, is a creature out only for his own gains. He's vulgar, arrogant, and brought up in grotesque opulence, believing himself regal and almost godlike. He's also a monster, and there's something delicious in the contradiction of Cruz's beauty and his malevolence that really makes the performance stand out. Number 6, Sam Neill, Jurassic Park and Event Horizon. Sam Neill wasn't always an obvious choice to play the lead hero in Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. Someone more swashbuckling like Harrison Ford might have fit the bill more easily, or someone slightly younger may have been more marketable. But what Neill brought to Dr. Alan Grant was a solid cynicism and integrity that you might not have got elsewhere. Sure, there's an element of Ford's grumpiness from Indiana Jones, but Neill's Grant is a more convincing scientist, and you can see him forming relationships with his fellow quote-unquote survivors more convincingly. He's the warm heart of the film's action, and the kind of hat-wearer adventure hero you can imagine in a golden era serial. His unassumingness is sort of why he stands out so markedly as the villain in Event Horizon 2. You expect a sort of soft everyman element to him, but then once he's corrupted by the devilish spirits awoken on the ship, he's horrifyingly effective as a stalking, grotesque monster. The film might not be entirely perfect, yeah, but it gets into your brain because Neill is so damn good. If you are enjoying what you're seeing here, then tap on that subscribe button down below, you lovely person. Cheers. Number 5, Hugo Weaving, The Lord of the Rings and The Matrix. There's an almost ethereal quality to Hugo Weaving that makes him a particularly good oddball character actor. Combined with his immediately identifiable voice, you've got a strong basis for someone who isn't quite of this world. It's that quality that makes him so great in most of his more memorable performances. He's haunting as Red Skull and chilling as Megatron. But it all comes together best in the uneasy twin performances of Elrond in Lord of the Rings and The Matrix's Agent Smith. Both characters are clearly not human, with a slightly detached energy and that ethereal quirkiness to them, and both take full advantage of their actors' appeal. It's stunning to see how well both work in convincing us of their central qualities, despite how wildly different they are. One is an agent of good intent on preserving the Earth, while the other is a monster intent on devouring it. Number 4, Samuel L. Jackson, The Avengers and Unbreakable. The self-styled baddest mother effer in Hollywood can be whatever he wants to be on screen, and he often takes to that allowance with gusto, even in films that appear to be slightly beneath him. When he's best, he's usually bristling with intensity and leaves a trail of obscenities behind him, like footprints stomped on the landscapes of his films. Curiously though, his best heroic performance and his best villainous one, he's played both ends of the spectrum and many points elsewhere on it a lot of times, aren't quite as intense as usual, or at least not as you'd expect from him, and neither is particularly profane. In The Avengers, he's basically the hero all of the heroes look up to, the granddaddy of the MCU who you know will smack you with a cane if you misbehave, but who is fundamentally pulling for the good guys. While in Unbreakable, he's a fragile, more cerebral figure, imprisoned in a failing body. More quirky and more terrifying for his otherness. Number 3, Sir Ian McKellen, The Lord of the Rings and X-Men. Thanks to his performance as Gandalf, the image of cinematic wizards is completely owned by Sir Ian McKellen. Harry Potter fans may balk at that grumpily, but there's a reason he was offered a lucrative contract to replace Richard Harris as Dumbledore when he died too. He is Gandalf, an old beatnik-like figure wrapped in robes and suspicious-smelling smoke, with a hippie edge that defies the skilled warrior beneath it. He's a mentor, wise and morally unbendable, though he is not entirely infallible, and he is one of Tolkien's pillars of moral purity entirely convincingly. It is stunning to see how well he inverts that image in the X-Men franchise at the same time, twisting the character of a man of principles into a Holocaust survivor intent on dangerous retribution. McKellen's Magneto is a thespian powerhouse, whose presence on screen is no less towering when he's next to his fellow mutants than he was in the company of dwarves and hobbits in Middle-earth. Number 2, Michael B. Jordan, Creed and Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan is one of the most gifted actors currently working in Hollywood. He's also proved very quickly that he's capable of playing a broad range of characters. At the opposite ends of the spectrum but connected by their difficult pasts and intense commitment to their goals are his Adonis Creed and his Erik Killmonger from Black Panther. Both are determined to overcome their past and rise to where they deserve to be, and both are marked deeply by the allegory of failure. Adonis is a richly written successor to Rocky's crown, who openly deals with the ideas of toxic masculinity, expectation, and mental health issues. He's more complex than most heroes, let alone those from a sporting movie background, and just as compelling is Killmonger, whose attributes are almost identical, but whose past twisted him into fundamentalism and crime, a path Adonis could also have taken. They're interesting companion characters to say the least, and both succeed because of Jordan's performances. And number 1, Michael Keaton, Batman and Spider-Man Homecoming. Michael Keaton's Batman might be a creature hewn grotesquely out of darkness, and the perpetual freak show that is Tim Burton's Gotham, but he's still a hero of the oldest kind. He's intent on saving Gotham, often from itself, and believes fundamentally that the world is worth saving. Okay, so he goes about it in unconventional ways, but that doesn't mean his integrity is to be questioned or his hero status deleted. In Keaton's hands, he's a deeply complex, richly confusing figure, who wears his disguise as Bruce Wayne rather than as Batman. He's dark and emotionally wounded, but there's a sort of adventure book quality to his heroic spirit that works incredibly well against the backdrop of Burton's world. He smashed it in The Flash too, to be honest. The complexity is ported across to his other comic book movie performance as the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's not talk about Morbius though, yeah? He's a villain of necessity who robs from the rich and beats them up a bit to give to the poor himself and his gang. He could actually be the hero in another film, and Keaton is wonderfully compelling as all sides of him, because he's Michael bloody Keaton, baby.